Ah, Harry Potter. Started in the 90s by a near broke woman contemplating suicide and ending in a nationwide phenomenon. You really can't make this stuff up. The books are all great, and the movies gross a whole ton of money, one of them being my favorite films of all time. As you could have guessed, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and I still love to reread the books. Can't you tell? Piece of advice: grab these books in hardcover if you can. However, as good as the books and the movies are, what about the games? I mean, a lot less people buy these games, and face it, they're licensed games. So, I'm going to find out in this 8-part series of the Harry Potter game reviews. Now, I could do this series of reviews in two different ways. One, I could do it in the order in which they were made, or I can do it chronologically. And personally, I think I'm going to choose the latter. Simply because it just makes more sense. So, prepare yourself for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Or Philosopher's Stone. Yeah, us Americans got the more badass name. For those of you who don't know the story of Harry Potter, it goes a little something like this. There was this evil wizard named Voldemort terrorizing the wizard community until a tiny baby named Harry Potter somehow defeated him. And then he lived 11 years with his abusive aunt and uncle until one day he learned he was a famous wizard and was taken to a school called Hogwarts, and then... I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, am I? Well, I don't really think you should start out your Harry Potter experience through the video games. I'd recommend the books or movies for that. Really, the point of the video games is to expand and let you live the story. So, yeah, in terms of how the game presents the story, it's like most movie games. Decent, but with a bunch of plot holes that I won't get into right now. But honestly, this is probably the best job EA's done with the story. It's the best explained, and it certainly is very talkative. Too talkative! I'm not kidding, guys. You will want to cut off your ears by the time you finish the game. Don't get me wrong, the voice acting isn't terrible. Despite not using the original cast, people like Harry and Dumbledore do an okay job. Heck, the narrator did a really good job. But there are some pretty bad voices too. Like Ron's,
Hurry!
Hermione's,
It's going to have to wait. We're going to be late for charms class.
and Quirrell's.
Troll in the dungeon! Troll in the dungeon! Thought you would know.
Not only that, but the writing is kinda bad too, which is odd because most of the dialogue is taken from the book. I think the real issue here is that the writers tried to put too much dialogue in. It's like trying to force the fact that this is a Harry Potter game down our throats. I guess if you haven't seen any of the movies or read the books, you'd find it interesting, but listening to poorly voiced, barely relevant lines from the books isn't what I want from a Potter game. And it wouldn't be a problem, but it isn't skippable. I've tried every button, but it just won't skip. Alright, so the story presentation could have been eons better. Potter fans won't play this for the story, so no problem, unless you're wishing for the umpteenth time that you could skip the boring dialogue. So I guess it's not a huge issue. So after waiting about 5 minutes to actually pick up the controller, I get to talk about more important stuff, like the controls. Well, X is your usual button that opens doors, grabs blocks, initiates conversations, yada yada yada. Square, circle, and triangle are the spell buttons. Basically, you get a whopping 6 spells at your disposal. That's kinda small. Oh well. Anyway, in the spell menu, you map these 6 spells and other items like your broom or stink pellets to the 3 buttons. Basically, a lot like Zelda. And whenever you need to switch out the spells, you pause the game with select. Swap out your spell, and continue. You know, this can be pretty tedious. And heck, why does the game only use those 3 buttons? After all, if you'll look on the left side of your friendly neighborhood PS2 controller, you'll see 4 perfectly functioning directional buttons that aren't even utilized. So what the heck? The R1 button targets enemies and switches, but at times it really isn't necessary because your attacks seem to have a bit of a homing property at times. As for jumping, again, like Zelda, it's just automatic. You run off a ledge, and jump off. The spells are Flipendo, which is your basic attack spell. You know, I don't think this spell was in the books or movies, so how did it get in here? Oh well. Next we have Lumos, which lights dark areas to allow you to find passages, and makes gargoyles create pretty little light platforms. I'm not really going to question that. The spell might sound situational and therefore lame, but I never took it off triangle. Ever. Once I got it early in the game, it was always there, for reasons I'll explain later. Next we have Alahomora, which unlocks doors. It's kind of annoying that you can't move while performing it, and that every time you unlock a door, there has to be a cutscene showing it. There is Spongify, which makes certain carpets mini trampolines. I really actually like this spell, because it allows for some fun, if a little uncontrollable platforming segments. Then there's the Defendo, the Cutting Charm. What's funny is that you actually learn this in herbology. Why? Lastly, there's Incendio, the fire spell. This is introduced kind of late in the game, and mostly used to light torches to open doors, or to fight a couple bosses. That's disappointing. They could have done so much more with it. Throughout the school grounds, you'll find Birdie bought every flavor beans. The act is two things: currency, and a way to annoy the hell out of you. Every time you pick up a bean, Harry has to exclaim,
Yuck! Grass flavour!
or,
Chocolate.
and it's so annoying. And also, once you get to Hogwarts, you can only buy stink pellets, dung bombs, and wizard cards. The wizard cards are kinda pricey for my taste, so I picked up stink pellets and dung bombs. But the reason I think those are also a waste of time is something I'll explain later. So just collect the 50 beans that you can hold, never spend them, and you don't have to put up with the endless
Spinach flavour.
for long. I guess the best way to describe the gameplay of this game is to just run the first of the 5 days at Hogwarts. So you wake up in the dormitory, walk downstairs, and meet Hermione at the notice board. She tells you that you can find stuff around Hogwarts that's been lost, and the notice board will tell you about them. Of course, what to do with them after you've found them is a complete mystery to me, but I don't really care anyway. But come on, I went to the notice board and everything. It's in my inventory, but I really have no clue what to do with it. Anyway, Hermione tells you to follow Ron down the potions class, because it's not like she can take you there herself. As you walk down the stairs, you'll notice that the stairs like to move, just like in the books and movies. However, instead of being authentic, it's entirely pointless. Allow me to explain. There are 7 floors on the ground staircase, and each floor has one let-off point. So how did they squeeze in the moving stair gimmick? They made the stairs travel up and down instead of rotate, so you can't just run all the way down. You have to wait for the staircases to reach you. That's just stupid. It just serves to make your trips up and down the staircases longer, and it's annoying. Anyway, you walk downstairs and have an unskippable cutscene in which a teacher explains the point system for the 4 sorting houses, and you pretty much fall asleep. When that's over, you go to the dungeons and come on, didn't we just have a poorly delivered monologue 2 minutes ago? So after telling Malfoy to go screw off, we enter Snape's classroom and
Many of you will hardly believe this is magic.
Anyway, after Snape yammers on about how he really gets off on potion making, he assigns us homework. I mean, technically, Hogwarts is a school, and therefore homework should be assigned,
Tree bark,
but this is a video game.
failure,
You know,
severely,
the thing kids play with once they finish their homework.
may be able to help
This
you.
is the reason why I'm not really sure a Harry Potter MMO would be such a hot idea. But basically, you have to collect 3 potion ingredients for the next lesson in 2 days. Then, without learning anything, you're dismissed. I thought this was potions, not elementary school music class. So then, you run upstairs to your first Defense Against the Dark Arts class. And in this class, the class teaches you to defend yourself against fierce magical creatures and deadly curses. And you learn Lumos, the lighting spell. Makes perfect sense to me. So then, this game does something both very easy to make fun of and very clever. You see, as much trouble as Harry gets himself into across his many years at Hogwarts, most of the games simply are going from point A to point B. So, how does EA add some action? Well, they have spell challenges. Basically, you go through the whole of a portrait, gather a spell book, and make your way back out. And there are many bottomless pits, big puzzles, and evil ghosts to severely, make sure you don't get the spellbook. Now, yeah, I could go on and on saying how it's really ridiculous and that no teacher would attempt to burn you alive, and that learning a spell doesn't involve just collecting a spell book. But I really don't think I should, because without these challenges, the game would be shorter and more boring. Also, picking up a spellbook has some really cool animation attached to it. I mean, check this out. So after you avoid near certain death, you go down to flying practice. What, no lunch break? Where you learn how to fly. And after 30 seconds of it, you are already giving your final exam. Good lord, what is it with these teachers? Anyway, I have to admit, the flying controls aren't the best. They work great for small turns, but if you try to make a sharp turn, you have to keep overcompensating and you'll miss like 3 rings in a row. Luckily, it's not really a big deal, since getting the highest grade is easy. Then Neville takes the exam, but majorly fails. Malfoy picks up something he dropped, but Harry doesn't like that, so they duke it out in an air chase. When you catch up to Malfoy or you touch him and he disappears, he challenges you to a wizard duel. Then, to end the day off, you go down to Hagrid's to collect your first potion ingredient, hidden in a garden obstacle course, and listen to some terrible and obviously unskippable plot exposition. Then the day ends, with you not even have to go back to your dormitory. All you have to do is hit select, go to the objectives menu, and just hit X. Then the day ends. Well, first we need a pointless cutscene showing the standings of the 4 houses. And I'm not joking. Whenever you end a day, you get this cutscene. It's so long and slow, too. And unskippable. Why? If I cared so much, I would check the hourglasses while passing by. Besides, it's almost impossible to lose the house cup anyway. My first run-through of the game, I got all B's and C's on the challenges, didn't do anything extra, and I kicked Slytherin's butt. So what's the point? Look at this room. It's apparently a broom cupboard. Can I do anything with it? Can't open it. Oh well. So that was a typical day at Hogwarts. And I have to admit, there are some really cool and creative things in this game. Like the boss battles where you fight ghosts, and you need to kill them with Lumos. Even though it was used quite a bit, it never got old for me. Second, I thought while collecting potion ingredients could be kind of monotonous, it was handled pretty well. First, there were a couple fun puzzles, and I really like that when you enter, only one entrance is available, and the rest will become accessible through learning the rest of the spells. That was pretty cool. As with the challenges, same thing. While they can be boring and a bit on the repetitive side, they can have some fun puzzles and platforming segments too. Unfortunately, this game is plagued with a lot of problems. First, some of these challenges are so dark. I mean, don't take my word for it. Just look at this. Was this really necessary? I can't see 3 feet in front of my freaking face. And the jumping controls love to combine with this to really piss me off. I mean, I swear I'm not doing this on purpose. I just don't notice the edge in this ridiculous darkness, and then I take 2 steps and I fly right off. I know it looks like I'm doing this on purpose, but it's really that bad. Plus, you're seeing all of this digitally, if that makes sense. Try it when you have the smallest bit of light on your TV, and you'll go insane. And no, I checked. There's no brightness option. You just have to suck it up, and I hate it! Even with Lumos, this is stupid, because Lumos only lasts about 5 seconds, even if you do charge it up, and you have to keep casting it. Why? Can't I just press triangle once to light my wand, then press it again to turn it off? Next, these guys! The imps! Now I cannot stand these little crab heads. I mean, they're kind of reminding me of anorexic Goombas or something. I don't know. And they're the main enemy you face. And they are so annoying! You have to hit them with Flipendo to knock them down, then pick them up and throw them in a cage. It's so boring that you have to do it, and if they hit you, you do take damage. This is also a showcase of how annoying the camera can be. It's not terrible at all, But especially when I'm fighting these imps and they sneak up on me, it's just a pain. It's not really challenging, it's a nuisance, not fun in the slightest. The presentation isn't all that good either. I'll ignore the fact that it seems like the landscaping was done on Google SketchUp, and the fact that I'm pretty sure they had to pre-render the fire for some reason, but it's the models, the way they move that gets to me. Plus the frame rate is bad when you're exploring Hogwarts. Not interfering with anything, but still just annoying. I'm not really going to complain about the graphics that much and about an 8-year-old game too much, but it is pretty dated. But one thing that can't be excused is the shoddy audio presentation. I'm not talking about mediocre voice acting, people, and I'm not talking about the music, which is actually pretty good. What I mean is, well, listen to this clip.
See, my other brother. How many brothers have you got? Too many.
My
And this
name's
clip.
Hermione Granger.
Welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are you waiting for? Everyone step up to their broomsticks.
You see what I mean? Whatever, it's not a huge deal, but they could have done a whole lot better. Also, this game is kind of glitchy. First, I've noticed that this game likes to have me just get stuck on walls when I'm shimmying. Again, I'm pushing right. I swear to God I am, but I'm not moving. Why? What the hell is stopping me? I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm not faking anything. I have no choice except just to go backward and try it again. And 5 years later, it'll somehow let me through. Oh, yeah, this game also has a manual save system, which was really annoying when the game froze on me. Those always work well, right? Back to the glitches. Here's the big McGilla. Okay, so I'm walking down the stairs to the Gryffindor common room when Peeves comes out to take my book. Jerk. So I chase him down, and he gives it up without a fight. I leave the room, save, and turn the game off. Okay, so I come back, I try to end the day, but I can't, even though I've finished all my objectives. I figure I need to take the book from Peeves again. So I go back down, and nothing. I check the menu, and it says I've already completed the task. So I go to the Gryffindor common room, and I try ending the day there. Of course, it doesn't work. So I quit the game yet again, restart it, and same thing! So I go to the room where Peeves had given me the book, and I get it again. Yeah, then I have to suffer through the cutscene again, but I press the X button, and what? The cutscene skipped! Yeah, I skipped the cutscene, but I was never able to do it before, and never again. Yeah, this game is screwed up! Quidditch is also crap. You just chase the snitch, going through rings to pick up speed. But the rings will start to get really small, and they form with no warning. So when you're really close to the snitch, right when you're about to catch it and end the game, unless you are directly behind it, or have the reflexes of a god, you will miss the rings, fall behind, and keep repeating this process until you get lucky. Luckily, it's only repeated once, which is a shame, because Quidditch is supposed to be fun. Stealth is also terrible. First, aside from the detour you need to do to get past Percy to get to Fred and George's shop, there's only one stealth section in the game. And you have your invisibility cloak, which you think would make it fun, but these prefects are brain dead. Well, let me rephrase that. They are blind, even when you aren't wearing the invisibility cloak, but they have the ears of a friggin' fox. So you have to be really gentle on the analog stick so that you can sneak. But I just say screw that. What you do is, you just run right down the library. Whenever a prefect notices you, they will start to cast a spell that will keep you in place. The spell will home in on you, but if you get behind a bookcase, you'll be just fine. And since the prefects have the reaction time of roadkill, it's not an issue if you just get lucky. And you'd think that the stink pellets and the dung bugs you brought earlier would help, or at least make it more fun, but no! First, you only get 2 stink pellets for your 20 beans, so don't expect to have them for long. Second, you need to be really close to the prefect to use them, but if you can get that close, then just run right by. I got results with a stink pellet once before I ran out, and I have never gotten the dung bombs to work. And to conclude my page-and-a-half list of complaints, the boss battles. With the exception of the ghost fights, these things can just burn in hell. First, they're just so generic. Well, that's not the right word. More like disappointing. I mean, the mountain troll is so easy. All you have to do is keep making him clunk himself by casting Spongify on the carpet. What is this, the Three Stooges? It's stupid. Then there's the venomous tentacular. I hate this thing. First, you have to cast Defendo on all the heads, but it only registers when it decides it feels like it. Plus, I can't even see that damn thing. Again, with the darkness. Why? And all of these bosses are incredibly cheap. I mean, whenever you die, all its health restores. Now, this isn't too much of a problem, but your health only comes a little back, and all the health power-ups are gone. And this is a kid's game. Next, well, oh, come on, the troll just hit me, and I didn't stand a chance because I was still getting up. Oh, check this out. Oh, let me up. Let me up. Let me up! Oh my god, I'm gonna die! Why can't I just get up? Oh, finally! Oh, how ironic. The way to get out of that trap was to run towards a wall, and I'm almost dead. Oh, and this is just a nitpick, but when I'm flying around and stuff, why do I have to be so close to the ground in order to get back off? Now, as much as I've been complaining, this game can be fun. It's just, you really have to put up with a lot to enjoy this game. The storytelling is overdone, yet still hard to understand if you haven't read the book. And if you have read the book, the unskippable, badly voiced cutscenes will drive you insane. This game is really arbitrarily dark. I mean, again, is this... come on! Also, the game's tedious, the stealth sections, or should I say, section, was a pain in the butt. The game can be pretty glitchy, and the bosses are just cheap and boring. Also, even though the draw distance when it was laid out was actually pretty good, the graphics were just okay, with the frame rate dropping a lot. Oh, and the game's pretty short too. I clocked in at about 6.5 hours. Not bad, but not great. But the game has its moments, and it is Harry Potter, and there is replayability with exploring Hogwarts and collecting wizard cards. So, yeah, I'd say the game is about average. I don't think it does anything special, and it does a lot wrong. But hey, the game's 8 years old, and it's for kids who are 8 years old. I'm sure you can get it for dirt cheap prices like $13? For a game also made on the PS1? $13? You know, that isn't very expensive, but this game is nearing 1 decade old. You can get Gears of War for cheaper than this. Whatever. As I was saying, Harry Potter fans should be satisfied if they don't go into this with high expectations I had. It deserves a pass. Not a bad game, but I can't really call it good either. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. So, 1 down, 7 to go. Next up, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.